This is Moray Robert B. Holman Jr. and
Moray Sean Appleton.
And this is
Hebrews in Exile. Sir.
Sir. We have been dealing with some very significant and important things that are germane to Hebrews in exile.
Yeah.
And the problematic issue for people who do not understand the Hebraicness for which that we embrace, which happens to be the signature of being Hebrew.
Yeah.
And that's understanding the mitzvot.
Yeah. Cornerstone of our lifestyle.
While it is that we're in exile, and there's a lot of mitzvot in exile that we cannot do.
Quite a few, yeah.
Because
we are not in our set-apart land. We don't have the articles of the tabernacle. We do not have the tabernacle itself. And we do not have, for the most part, a system of Kohanim that has been instantiated for us to do a lot of these things.
To officiate.
Yeah, absolutely.
So someone would pose, well, if that's the case, then why even deal with them?
Because there's specific text that tells us in some instances these are perpetual throughout all your generations, no matter where you live. So in that regard, we take them as what we can do, or portions of them that we can observe. We do them knowing that in totality we can't do them and carry them out the way the Most High wants us to, but that doesn't negate the fact that we can at least practice portions of them that we can do in exile.
Right.
Yeah.
It's interesting that the world, and particularly Christianity, who was so opposed to them, do not understand how much they are involved with them.
Meaning they're ingrained into...
They're ingrained into the moral fiber of our society.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, even in our exile in this country, they are,
and they don't even they don't even know this.
Yeah, I think we had brought up, and I got the idea from you, is that even when we look, because you did a good dissertation on it, to say the moral and ethic code that's written within the fiber of the Hebrew text is written within your constitution that you observe here in exile in the United States.
Right.
The ideas that the founding fathers based the preamble and everything else that comes out of that is based on
Hebrew
Hebrew text, which is
and here's an interesting thing. You have to think and ask a question.
Okay.
Where did they get this from?
Yeah.
And why was it so ingrained in the fiber of the documents that govern not only this nation, but govern nations?
Sure. Yeah, because
I mean, where did they get this moral temperature from?
Yeah.
To say these words, and I'm wondering who amongst the founding fathers was connected to Hebrew text. Because the one phrase that I totally understand, that I don't believe that anybody catches, that we are one nation.
Under
El.
Indivisible. Yeah.
with liberty
And justice.
and justice for all.
For all. Yeah.
That's only one nation. There's only one nation in the world
Yeah.
that can fly under that flag, and that's Hebrew Israel.
Ah, now you got my mind reeling.
Hebrew
yeah,
Israel
yeah, yeah.
is the only nation under El, God,
Yeah.
with liberty and justice for all, because the mitzvot are just and right.
Now, let me take a page out of your book and pose a question to you. Just like when we read in the text, or excuse me, when we read in that literary work called the Bible, and it says God and Lord, is the impression when you say one nation under God, who are they referring to? Because one could contend that they're talking about JC.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
No,
Okay.
I don't think so.
Okay. Okay.
And here's the reason I don't think so. I think when you talk to people and you ask them about, and I have to use their vernacular to make the point.
Okay.
You ask them about God.
Okay.
They don't bring up JC.
All right.
They go, God. I say, and if I ask them, which one? They say, God. And I go, no, I mean,
Yeah.
God. Well, who are you talking about? And in that instance, they'll refer to, well, the Creator. Okay. And this is my point, really, in looking at people who say they love God.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and I'm going, well, I'm trying to understand who are you referring to?
Yeah.
And they'll go like, God.
Yeah. You want some specificity, like
Well, God. But we see, the problem with that is that's the only reference they have known to them in relationship to the Creator.
right, because as you eloquently said before, the name has been systematically removed, so they have no frame of reference. To say, okay, well, that's the only name that I know of.
Now, they do differentiate.
Okay.
If I say Lord,
Okay.
so I say so. If I say to you Lord, then what comes to your mind?
JC.
JC.
Yeah. Agreed.
But if I say God, well, then you go, well, no, God, He's the Creator of all things. Yeah.
Okay.
So they have this and I have to put it in this way because I have to look at my patriarch. I have to look at my grandfather. I have to look at my father. And these two men that I grew up under loved God. They had high regards for God. They did not know the Creator the way that I know Him. They didn't have the information that I have. They didn't have the voice of understanding that I have in terms of who that is. However,
Now, can I say something about your patriarchs?
yeah,
That hits harder for me now, hearing you say that cathartically, because now that we're going through these mitzvot and now that we talk about these offerings and we talk about the sacrifices and we talk about where that starts, because those offerings start here. They start with the motivation, it starts in your heart.
Yes.
When you bring them.
Yes.
And then we say, okay, well, those individuals, your patriarchs, didn't know the Most High like you knew him, but they knew him here. They
Yes.
knew what that was.
Exactly.
And so the Most High judges that.
Yes.
You didn't know me
Yes.
from a standpoint, a Hebraic standpoint, but I knew where your heart was.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
it brings it full circle for me to say, okay, for those of us that came before us, our ancestors, that had a conviction, I have some resolution now as to what that's all about, because the mitzvot allow me to see how important the state of the heart is
Yes.
to the Most High.
Yes.
It's not these things that you're bringing me. It's
And
where
see,
you are.
Exactly. And that is the connecting rod that connects them to the Most High.
Yeah.
In light of the fact that the Most High says, I know that you are ignorant concerning the things that I have put in place in terms of my teaching and my commandments. I know that.
Right.
But what I also know is, based upon what you do know, you love me, even though you don't know me in light of really who I am,
Right.
in light of my word.
Right.
But you love me.
Exactly. And that's beautiful.
And see, that's where my mother at 111 years old is. That's where her mind is. I love God. So if I tell her, well, Mom, that's cool, but the Creator has a name.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about that. I wasn't taught that. I don't know about things like that. But
Wow.
my heart and my being is dedicated to God.
Yeah. That's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
So, with all that being said, in the day when Israel is redeemed out of this exile, those individuals, we talked about this before, about people who are good and people who are righteous.
Yeah.
People who deeply love God are on the border of righteousness.
Yeah.
And that being that they would be totally righteous if they had the understanding that you and I have today. But you have to remember, they're born and their knowledge point is outside of the parameter of the book of Daniel.
Yeah. Because at that time, that information had
books-
not
the
been
books
revealed
weren't
to them
open.
yet. So they're only accountable for the information that they have at that particular time.
Yeah. Now, with
Okay.
all that being said, you and I've been thinking about this. You and I and our Hebrew counterparts that are sincere about the Hebraic way and are not radicals. They're radical Hebrews, and then they're
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna classify them. They're radical Hebrews, and then they're fundamental Hebrews.
Agreed.
So now you're gonna say, well, how do we separate the two?
Okay.
There are Hebrews that are mixed with the Greek aspect of Torah, of not of the Greek aspect of combining Hebrew text with Greek text.
Sure.
Okay. Then there are the fundamental Hebrews who thoroughly understand that the Greek text is not scripture that has been brought to bear, brought into existence by any manner, form, shape, or word of the Most High. We're fundamentally Hebrew. We fundamentally in Bereshit, Genesis to Second Chronicles. We're solidly locked into, in the terminology of people who would understand, we're locked into the Old Testament.
Okay.
Understanding we don't call it an Old Testament,
Right.
we call it a covenant.
Right. Right. Agreed. Totally agreed.
So there's that difference that divides us.
Mm-hmm.
Being totally Hebrew, we focus on understanding the mitzvot,
Yes.
or the commandments that the Most High has given us.
Yes. Yes.
And we're even now beginning to open up understanding in terms of understanding the depth of them outside of just reading them.
Yeah. There's a, and it really didn't come to fruition, at least for me, if I reflect on it, as I'm reading books that are outside of the books kind of narrated by Moshe.
Hold on. Are you seeing what's coming up on this board?
Yeah, I was typing. We just started looking at it.
Oh, we got.
Please deal with that. I do not want that in our in our pod screen.
No worries.
Oh, again. No, there's. It became very. I guess. Vivid, for lack of eloquence, for me, is when we started reading outside of those first 5 books and trying to disseminate the information that was there, and without trying to incorporate the fundamental portions of the mitzvot.
I hate to deviate. I hate to deviate. I hate to lose my conscious focus.
But
is this woman still online?
We don't know. We can't see. She may be though.
Lady,
got you.
please get off of our podcast with this dog foolishness trash that you have put on it. I don't even want to be associated with any such garbage that you have just posted in our chat. Please get off my site. It's people like you that are going to cause me to shut the chat completely down to prevent this kind of foolishness from coming up in my chat room. Jesus ain't no woman going to return with Elijah and they're going to marry each other. You take that doggy doo-doo and you go sit on it somewhere. And you take that stink completely out from my chat room and don't show up in it again.
He said your moderator need to start doing some booting.
You guys got to see that stuff and kick that stuff off immediately when you see it. I gotta exhale.
Now you got to exhale. Okay, woosah. Okay. That's a new one. I haven't heard that one before. Well, I don't know where that one came from. Okay. Anyhow.
Y'all don't know how much that bothers me. So,
So,
when we look at the veracity of the mitzvot, we've read them, we've taught them, but you brought up something or highlighted something that is very interesting in understanding the mitzvot and their application in this exile.
okay.
You don't even,
What did I bring up?
okay, here's the deal.
What did I bring up?
Let's go to, I don't know if it's chapter 3.
Chapter 3 of
Let's go to chapter number
3
3.
of when he called. Vayikra.
Let's go to chapter 3.
Chapter 3 of Vayikra.
And the interesting thing here, I think I can summarize it.
Okay.
When we talk about these various offerings that have to be brought, now remember, as we talk about this tonight,
Oh, okay. Yep. I think it was.
these offerings that we're talking about cannot be done in exile. There's no animal sacrifices that can be rendered in this exile.
True. Very true.
However,
Okay.
oh, this is interesting.
However,
Why can't a grain offering be presented? Oh, that's right, because we don't have the kohanim
gotta
to
have
be
the
able
kohanim, yep.
to receive it.
Yep.
Okay. Now, let's look at the specificity
okay.
that's involved in bringing these offerings.
Okay.
And let's deal with, I forget which chapter is the one, the offering for the priest, the congregation, and the individual.
That is number 4, chapter number
chapter
4
4?
of Vayikra, and that's
Okay.
dealing with the inadvertent sin of
Okay.
all 4 of those categories.
Okay, so now we're talking about this whole idea of inadvertent sin, and if you sin knowing that you're sinning.
Yes.
That's the one. Is that in chapter 4?
That's in chapter number 5.
Okay. Is it?
Yeah, that's in chapter number 5. So inadvertent sin is all chapter 4 for the categories that we have for not only kohanim and then the community, and then we have the leaders, and then we have the individuals for the inadvertent sin. And chapter number 5, I think somewhere around like verse number 17, it deals with this issue, this one issue of if you knew about it and you did it anyhow. So that's the only place that at least I've found that dealt with that particular issue. But chapter number 4 deals with nothing but just inadvertent sin.
Yeah. So now let's look at something.
Okay?
Is there a sacrifice for willful sin?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Because it would be said that if we go and look at the Hebrew writing in Hebrews 10, I think it is, it uses some terminology that is similar to what we have in the Hebrew writing
Okay?
that says, once you've come to the knowledge of the truth, there therefore remains no sacrifice for sin. If you come to the knowledge of truth, there's no sacrifice for sin. We've talked about that.
Okay?
But we also talked about in text, where text provides for a offering to be made if a person sins willfully.
Yes. And that's in Vayikra chapter number 5, verse 17. And I have it, and it reads as follows. It says, if someone sins by doing something against any of the mitzvot of Eye Asher Eye concerning things which should not be done, he is guilty. even if he is unaware of it, and he bears the consequences of his wrongdoing. He must bring a ram without defect from the flock, or its equivalent according to your appraisal to the Kohen for a guilt offering. The Kohen will make an atonement concerning the error which was committed, even though he was unaware of it, and he will be forgiven. It is a guilt offering. He is certainly guilty before Eya Asher Eya. So, but I think in that dissertation there, verse 17, at least in my mind's eye, is very clear. It says, if someone sins by doing something against any of the mitzvot concerning Eya Asher Eya, concerning the things which should not be done, he is guilty, even if he's unaware of it. So it's adding that piece in there to say you knew it, and then also if you didn't know it.
So now, if that happens, what is the person supposed to bring?
They're supposed to bring a guilt, according to the text here. He must bring an 18. He must bring a ram without defect from the flock, or its equivalent according to your appraisal. To the Kohen for a guilt offering, the Kohen will make an atonement concerning the error which he committed. Even though he was unaware of it, he will be forgiven. It is a guilt offering. So it's a guilt offering that has to be brought.
So now let's talk about how often can I bring a guilt offering?
And that is our discussion. Because now it becomes, I think what we have established, and I think we established in this last Shabbat, is let's say, for instance, I knew about it, I broke it, okay, you got to pass. You do that same thing again, that starts falling into the category of wickedness. Now you're repeating something on purpose,
Okay,
thinking you're going to get away with
let's
it.
just deal with it.
Okay.
But that guilt or that unawareness or that breaking something, knowing that you're doing it, speaks to the fact that you get the pass of bringing the guilt offering the first time.
Correct.
But if you do, now I'm going to say something. If you do it the same thing again, you have to, you're guilty. You have to bring a guilt offering. Let's look at this, and let's look at this in its totality. And I mention this because there are so many mitzvot.
Sure. A lot of them.
And I could break some that I'm unaware of breaking just by absence of thought. But when I become aware of it, now I fall in this aspect of guilt.
Right.
But I'm talking about willfully. I know, and I willfully break. I break. Let's say I break the Sabbath.
Sure. Okay.
Okay. Let's say I break one.
We got to use a different one other than the
Yeah,
Sabbath.
yeah.
Because the Sabbath has a more severe punishment than this.
It does. Let's see. Which one can we
Let's
think of?
let's say we let's use there's so many of them. The first one that comes to my mind is let's say we didn't do one Sukkot, or you don't do one of the you totally blow that off, or any of the dietary laws, or say let's use one that says
Let's say we break the law of impurity of a seminal emission.
okay, all right,
Okay. Or we break the law of the impurity caused by a woman's running issue, and I know this. I'm going to use those two for I just opened the book to turn this on. Okay, and I know that I'm supposed to bathe,
okay,
but I don't.
but you don't, okay, but you don't. Here's my matter of thinking about this, okay? Let's say we're just using an example and saying,
Yes.
okay, we're using any mitzvah.
Yes.
And if I'm going to generalize it, I would say this. Under this circumstance, if I knew about the mitzvah and I intentionally broke it, I bring my offering, and then I decide to do it again, now you're delving into the issue of wickedness. If I was unaware of it, the text is very clear in all these instances.
Yes.
Even when you go back to chapter number 4,
Yes.
it says, even if you were unaware of it, and I made you aware of it,
Yes.
you're now guilty.
Yes.
In my estimation, you can't do that thing again.
Again, right.
Because what did it get back to what we talked about the patriarchs? Because now if you do it again, it's dealing with the matter of the heart. When you brought that offering and you said, you know what, Most High, I didn't know. And my heart, I'm judged. My consciousness is on me. I broke your mitzvot. The matter of the heart says, I'm bringing this offering to you so you can accept it. I'm not going to do it again. Either willfully or unwillfully.
Right.
If you do it again, you didn't mean it.
Right.
And the Most High will know when you bring it the first time,
Right.
whether you were intending to do it again or not.
So I mean, so the issue is now, but now let's take this a little further. We get down the line and there's another mitzvah that we know we're not supposed to break. I broke this one.
Right.
Now I'm down line and I'm going to break another one.
Right.
With
Yeah.
with malice of, I know I'm not supposed to, but I'm going to break another one. Because I already have the conscious knowledge of knowing that I'm guilty and that I'm going to have to bring a guilt offering.
Mm-hmm.
But if I keep breaking these mitzvot willfully with forethought of knowledge of doing so, I am now in a position where my heart is really not prone to doing that which is right.
Agreed. 100%. 100%.
Now, to deal with that, Jeremiah answers the question really well.
Yes, he does.
In Jeremiah 17 and 9.
Mm-hmm. Let's get that. Jeremiah 7, Jeremiah 17 and 9.
When you see, there's a difference being Hebrew and breaking the Most High's laws, which happens to be sin. That's what sin is. Sin is violation of the law.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Christians put the weight of their guilt upon Jesus Christ,
Right.
but they blame the devil for them doing it.
Right.
So they completely abdicate themselves from all wrong. Well, the devil made me do it. Jesus, you're gonna forgive me for it.
Right. And in practicality, where does that work in reality? Where can you take that same concept, pick it up, and use it can you take that to a court of law?
No.
Can you use that at your job?
No.
I told you to have these reports in here. Well,
No.
blame it on him. No. You're accountable, which isn't. This is the beautiful thing. I got to say this. This is the beautiful thing about the Most High is because when you start instantiating the real truth of the Most High, it mimics life. It's practical. I can practically say that I'm accountable for my own wrongdoing. Is that not in text? I think in Devarim, what is it? Chapter number what? 24? Somewhere in there?
Yeah.
It says that it says something to the effect of the father cannot be accountable for the sins of the son.
Of the son, right.
And the 24 and 17, somewhere around like that, or 19 or somewhere in there. And the son can't be accountable for the sins of the father.
Right.
I'm accountable for my own
sin.
on my own sin. And that's reality. That's where we live. So
Now, this is how the Most High deals with the matter of continual, perpetual sin. And let's remember something. Sin is a violation of the law.
yes.
Sin is not you wearing your dress too short. Sin is not going out and dancing. Sin is not all the things that the church has defined sin that don't have anything to do with the mitzvot that the Most High has given us. Sin is a violation of the law. If you don't know the law, then you don't know what sin is. As a matter of fact, I go back to my standard. 1 John chapter 3, verses 5:17 says sin is a violation of the law. Period.
Period.
So now, the Most High says these words. You cannot continue to break my commandments to you. I'm going to judge you the first time on the basis of your heart. And he says this in Jeremiah. The heart is more deceitful than anything else and morally sick. Who can fathom it? Yahweh, search the heart. I test the inner motivations in order to give everyone what his actions and conduct deserve. So if your actions are repeatedly wicked because you continually break my laws knowing that you're doing it. It's not, oops, I didn't know. You knew that you did it.
Right.
You knew that you were going to do it, and you did it. Then I am going to give you what your actions and conduct deserve.
Now, there's a piece to piggyback on that in 1 Samuel chapter number 15, verses 21 through 23, that speak volumes to what that looks like as far as if you continue to keep sinning and what that looks like. I think Samuel paints a very good picture of it. In 1 Samuel chapter 15, verses 21 through 23, it reads, but the people took some of the spoil, and to set this up, Melech Shaul has been given charge by Shemuel to go and decimate this group of people and wipe them all out, and he doesn't do it. He keeps the best of the spoil for himself, and he makes this declaration as to Shemuel why he does it. But he says, but the people took some of the spoil, the best of the sheep and cattle, and set it aside for destruction to sacrifice to Eye Asher Eye, your El in Gilgal. Shemuel said, does Eye Asher Eye take as much pleasure in burnt offerings and sacrifices as in obeying what Eye Asher Eye says?
Right.
Surely obeying is better than sacrifice and heeding orders than the fat of rams. And this is where it says, for the rebellion is like the sin of sorcery, stubbornness like the crime of idolatry, because you have rejected the word of Eye Asher Eye. He too has rejected you as a king. So by his deeds, it goes along with what Jeremiah is saying, is that he's going to reward him with his actions based on, he's going to reward the actions based on his conduct. And so it gives us in 23 a good example of here saying this rebellion that you're doing is like the sin of sorcery.
Yeah, because you see, the issue is that you know you're breaking my law.
Right. Exactly.
This is not something that you're not unaware of. You're aware of it. Now the question becomes one. If that's the case, how do I reconcile myself with the Most High?
Great question. Great question. As if to say, in this exile, I've broken a mitzvot intentionally or unintentionally. How do I reconcile it with myself? And my knee-jerk answer is going to go back to where we started, which is, where is it at? Oh, come on, let me get it. In Psalms, where are we going? Psalms 51, 16 and 17. I'm going to answer it this way. Psalms 51, 16 and 17. For it says, for you don't want sacrifices or I would give them. You don't take pleasure in burnt offerings. My sacrifice to El is a broken spirit. El, you won't spurn a chastised heart. That right there.
A contrite
Contrite
or a chastised heart. That's in where? Psalms.
That's in Psalms 51, verses 16 through 17. So the establishment here, as we're doing the teachings, which again, if you're not joining us on the Shabbats, we're going through these particular mitzvot, and the first 4 chapters of Vayikra talk about all the offerings. Matter of fact, it actually bleeds into chapters 7 and 12. But it talks about where all these things start, and they start with a broken spirit and a contrite heart. We do the same things that our ancestors would have done. Had we be in the land right now, we still have to abide by this. Broken spirit, contrite heart. Bring your sacrifice. You prepare it. You bring it to the Kohanim, and then the Most High, you offer it.
Which gets back to tying into Jeremiah. A broken and a contrite spirit, the Most High says, I will give to everyone what his actions and conduct deserve. If you're broken, and if you have this contriteness about the actions that you have done, he's going to give you what your actions and your conduct deserve.
So therefore, we're in exile. I like to use this example. I wrong you. I do something, and I clearly have upset you, like this person in the chat room. Anyway, somebody comes back to you and said, you know what, Moray, I'm sorry for what I did. Are you obligated to forgive me?
No.
Because I am not showing you that I have no remorse for what I did. None at all.
Now I'm going to say something to you.
Okay.
And people get upset when I say this.
Okay.
And I learned this a long time ago. Yahweh is not obligated to forgive you unless you approach him with a right spirit.
That's text. Absolutely.
Not obligated.
That's right. That's right.
You can't just tell, oh, I'm sorry. No, that doesn't work.
Right.
There has to be something that he can see within your heart that says you're sorry.
That's right.
And if he doesn't see that, he's not obligated to forgive you.
That's right. Exactly. And it's so convenient.
Jesus forgives sins. Well,
see, I was getting ready to go there.
well, that clown can.
Yeah.
But the Creator can't, and he won't.
Right.
He's going to measure your heart, just like Jeremiah says, I'm going to give you according to what the actions of your heart deserve.
Right. It doesn't give you any license to invest in the remorse, because you already know that somebody, a quote unquote, in the Christian church, somebody paid it all already. He by his action of dying, I don't really have to take part in that portion of being remorseful, because it's already gone. So therefore, you don't really have a sense of I can do this egregious act again, because I already know it's already been taken care of already. You don't have any investment. That's why I think that when the Most High instantiated some of these mitzvot for us, they're giving you a reason to say it's costing me something in order to bring this particular sacrifice to the Most High. That's why we have in Texas, the Most High didn't get nothing out of you bringing a burnt offering or a sacrifice.
Right.
What he's looking for is what's inside first.
Right. Yoel ben Yisrael,
Hey.
what is your question? And there's another aspect while I'm waiting for the question to pop up, if he's still there. The specificity in which that the Most High demands the action of bringing the offerings is very, very, very interesting.
Yes.
The detail.
Is there. Oh, yeah.
Let's go to one of the chapters that deals with the
Peace offerings, where you were going to go. Peace offerings are very detailed in chapter number 3, Vayikra. They're real detailed. When, where, how, cut this, take that out.
when you look at the detail that is written here in chapter number 3 for peace offerings, and when you read that, it allows you to understand the degree to which these offerings have to be dealt with when you bring them before the Kohanim.
Mm-hmm.
It's very, 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 very detailed.
Yes. Very agreed. Agreed.
That detail tells me something. If I'm in Israel and I'm in the land, if I have to bring an offering to the Most High on a regular basis, see, here's the one thing that people don't understand, and usually you've experienced this, okay?
Yes.
If I have to bring an offering for whatever the case may be, peace offering or a guilt offering, whatever it might be, there is an animal that's involved in that peace offering.
100%.
Here's what we never took into consideration. We never took into consideration the fact that that animal is aware of what's getting ready to happen to him.
100%. Yep. And you will never know that until you live it. To have that animal to go into the flock. That's literally what we did when we were preparing the animal for Pesach, because that's what we slaughtered him for. He was in the pen with the rest of the herd,
Minding his business.
minding his business. Walked in there, put the muzzle on him, and as soon as he put that muzzle on him, we started to lead him out. He started understanding what in the world was getting ready to happen. It's not like, okay, we're going for a walk. It's like he understood the intention of what was going to happen. And then it really, really set in. We really had to fight that animal as soon as we got him over to the position where we were going ready to slaughter him. Now, we did it obviously in a humane and a kosher way, like the text prescribes. But great point. It is not without lack of that animal knowing.
So I want you to think about something. If we're in the land and this is taking place,
Yeah.
and you're bringing an animal from the
Flock or herd, either one.
herd, you're bringing a bull, and this animal knows what's getting ready to happen to him and the resistance that he's putting up.
Mm-hmm.
And the detail to which you have to go through to slaughter this animal at the gate of the
tent of meeting, yeah.
of the tent of meetings.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, picture this in your mind. You just one of many that showed up today with a guilt offering or a peace offering or whatever.
Right.
And you bringing one from the flock or one from the herd, and these animals know what's getting ready. There's a fight going on. I mean, it's not just like, and they're slaughtered. No. You have to understand the magnitude of really what's taking place.
Absolutely. 100%.
So what that tells me is that this is something that if I want to be in right standing with the Most High at all times, this is not something I want to be doing on any regular basis at all.
Exactly. That is not fun. If y'all, I made a joke about it. I said, you know what? We hate going to the DMV. We hate sitting in them lines, and we hate doing that. You know, and there's a line around the corner when you end up going there. And imagine if you had to do that every other day. That's just what you'd never. First of all, never get anything done, and number two, it's just a hassle, because it's not a in and out thing. You ain't be in there 15 minutes.
Right.
It's some of these, and again, there is such a plethora of things they can be for Thanksgiving, for the completing of an oath, for inadvertent sin, for worship. I mean, there's all of these things are happening all day long.
Right.
That fire on that altar cannot go out.
Right.
So, yeah, to your point, it's
To a simple
not a fun
response,
thing.
what that tells me is sin is not something I want to be doing on a regular basis,
right.
because of the magnitude of what has to go forth in order for me to get in right standing, back in right standing with the Most High and this offering.
100%. 100%.
Spencer, you ask a question. How can we tell if our hearts are right with Yah and if Yah is pleased with our heart? Good question. How can we tell that?
How can we tell? If I had to answer that, this is the way I had explained it when I had originally brought it up. I explained it by saying, have you ever been in a situation where,
Check that back there, please.
if you ever been in a situation where you had said, I'll never do that again. I lived that experience, and I will never in my life do that again. That is the kind of the basis, I guess, if you want to have a feeling of how you're thinking about it. I'll never put myself in that position ever again. So my heart and my mind is on one accord with saying that situation comes up in my mind, and I've resolved to myself, never happen.
Here's how I'm going to answer it.
Okay?
The one specific rule of being in right standing with the Most High and your heart being in parallel with the Most High is one word. One word. Obey these mitzvot and commandments that I'm giving you today. Bind them around your heart. Bind them upon your
wrist,
your being. And when you live your life according to the teachings and the mitzvot of the Most High, then you know that your heart is in right standing, and you know that Yahweh is pleased with your heart.
Yeah. There you go. That's a good way to put it. Yeah.
The mitzvot are key to a relationship with the Most High.
Yeah. Your resolve is based upon the mitzvot and following them.
I live my life.
Yeah.
I live my life every day patterned after the way that the Most High has asked me to live.
Yeah. And
bind them, he says, in Deuteronomy, he says, the purpose of man is to cling to me.
Yeah.
Cling to my mitzvot.
Right.
And when your heart is conditioned to walk every day according to the teachings and the ways of the Most High, your heart, you know it, and the Most High knows it.
Yeah.
That's how you can tell.
And if there's a violation of something that you did break within the confines of the mitzvot, knowingly or unknowingly, that's when I think you can apply
your heart.
Yeah.
Your heart is going to tell you that.
Yeah, you're going to have a resolve that says, I know the mitzvot, I observe the mitzvot, I want to live by the mitzvot, and I never want to put myself in a position where I'm breaking that again. And so at that particular point, Most High, I have a contrite spirit. I've been convicted of it, and I'm never going to do that again. If there's a violation that you broke. But yeah, it all starts with the understanding and living by the ways of the Most High through the mitzvot.
Right.
And devoting your life to it.
Right. So anyway, the mitzvot, as we go through them and talk about them, and then let's understand something. When we talk about Torah, I have the book on the market in Amazon, Torah for Hebrews and Exiles, and I explain
right
I explain to you what Torah is. If we look at and listen to the explanation of people tell you, well, the Torah is the first 5 books of Scripture. The first 5 books of Scripture are the compilation of where Torah is, but the first 5 books of Scripture is not Torah.
Correct. 100%.
Torah are the laws
in it.
The specific laws, the specific mitzvot and rules that the Most High has given to us to live by.
Yep.
So when we look at Ezra standing on the day that they found the Torah in the house, and he stands up and reads it. He's not reading Genesis to Deuteronomy. He's specifically reading the mitzvot and the laws and the rules that the Most High has given for them to understand. He's not talking about their culture. He's not talking about the history of what all they went through. He's talking about this is what Torah is. And how do I know that? Because I know that when we look at Psalms 119, the king is specifically talking about specific things. And then if you go to Deuteronomy chapter 4, he opens up by saying, I have taught you these laws and these rules and these teachings of the Most High. They're embedded in the culture of Hebrew Israel, but they're specific. And once we understand those, and we come to meditate upon those, as the king says, I meditate upon them day and night.
Day and night, yeah.
You can't meditate upon something you don't know.
Right.
So we rehearse these and we live our lives by them, and we govern our way of life by them, not only with each other, but with society and in the world that we live in. Then that's how we can know what we know, and that's how we can know where our heart is, and that's how we can know how to guard our heart.
Yeah, agreed.
And our actions.
Agreed, 100%. 100%.
Well, this has been Moray Robert B. Holman Jr.
And Moray Sean Appleton.
And this has been
Hebrews in Exile. Shalom. Is the mic still hot? We got them all. We good?
Spencer, very good. Striving to keep Yahweh's everlasting covenant brings an individual salvation. Yes, it does.
100%.
Which puts us in great place with the Most High. Absolutely correct. And continue doing what you're doing, walking with the Most High. Your way and your way of life will be bright, and you will have a continuous, blessed, and bright way with the Most High. This has been Moray Robert B. Holman Jr. again.
And Sean Appleton.
And this has been
Hebrews in Exile.